What is the oddest thing you thought was normal and ended up being a medical problem? I thought everyone saw static over people's faces when they lied. My parents told me I was being paranoid and needed to stop accusing people of things. Turns out I wasn't paranoid at all. When I was around 7, I noticed that sometimes people's faces would get this fuzzy TV static effect right before they said something that wasn't true. Very like when my teacher said she wasn't mad about the broken window. Her whole face flickered like a bad signal. I told my mom about it and she laughed and said I had a creative imagination. But it kept happening everywhere. My dad would say he wasn't stressed about work and his face would go completely staticky. My sister would claim she didn't take money from my piggy bank and the static would cover her entire head like a scrambled channel. I genuinely thought this was normal. It really bull, that is, I can really do it, it's next reading. I assumed everyone could see this and just didn't talk about it, so I started pointing it out. When my second grade teacher told the class that everyone did great on the spelling test, I raised my hand and said her face was doing the static thing, so she must be lying. The whole class went silent. She sent me to the principal's office for being disrespectful. My parents were embarrassed. They took me to a child psychologist who asked me questions about why I thought I could tell when people were lying. I tried to explain about the static, but she just nodded and wrote things down. After 3 sessions, she diagnosed me with oppositional defiant disorder. My parents put me on medication that made me feel foggy and tired, but the static never stopped. If anything, it got more intense. I learned to just stop talking about it. I watched people lie constantly and said nothing. Middle school was torture because teenagers lie all the time. Every excuse and compliment came with that visual distortion. Sometimes it was so bad I couldn't see people's real faces anymore, just complete visual noise where their head should be. By high school, I'd gotten better at managing it. I learned the static was actually useful if I didn't announce it to everyone. I could tell which friends were genuine and which ones talked behind my back. I knew when my girlfriend said she was fine, but actually wasn't. Then senior year, my history teacher announced that everyone passed the practice exam. His entire face turned to complete static, not just a flicker. Total visual disruption. A Smony Bonti and Sony's key. They known coarsely, sucking spring of pages, side my lynched out hattie and dreet. Or Tom way I can fire my redeem. You seem half to offer deck which is all the flitted it, but he does it spray it's an old dog clean talking and that's one that sense. Hefty channels to worry. A few months later, my mom sat me down before dinner and said everything was fine with her health. Complete static. Her whole face looked like a scrambled TV channel. I felt my stomach drop. I begged her to tell me the truth. She insisted everything was okay. I had a complete breakdown, crying and telling her I knew she was lying. My dad thought I was having some kind of episode. She finally admitted her doctor found something concerning and wanted more tests. 2 days later, they found early stage breast cancer. The doctor said catching it this early probably saved her life. My mom asked me how I knew she was lying. I was so tired of hiding it. I told her everything. About the static, about seeing lies my whole life, about learning to stay quiet. She didn't laugh or tell me I was imagining things. She immediately called a neurologist. After 2 weeks of testing, he explained that I had an extremely rare visual processing disorder. Your brain picks up micro-expressions and physiological changes that indicate deception. Most people process these cues subconsciously. My brain translates them into literal visual distortion. There were only a handful of documented cases like mine. It wasn't a superpower and it wasn't mental illness. Just my visual cortex misfiring in a way that happened to be useful. My parents felt horrible about the years they told me I was making it up. But I wasn't angry. I was just relieved to finally understand. Now I work in corporate security, doing interview assessments. My boss has no idea why I'm so good at catching insider threats. Last week I saw static over an executive's face during a meeting. Turns out he was embezzling funds. I still see the static every single day. I've just learned to use it.